incorporating, maybe some think of fun, always laughing and giggling, having a good time. But, when I was on my dirt bike, everything I was doing, I looked at it like fun. Like when I looked at the track, I could visually sit on the line and look at this track, and I'm like, all right, see it as in like, fear or hate or whatever you want to call it, as like dang, here we have to go, or see it as in fun. And when I would like visualize seeing myself going around this track having fun, it was like, man, I can't wait to get out there, and so it just brought, when we made that change, like I was telling you earlier, it just brought the fun factor back of like doing stuff I wouldn't do on my dirt bike. When you're out there on the track and you're just forcing it, rushing it, bulldogging it, it's like the setup doesn't work because you didn't ride like that during the week.
Yeah.
Being like that, you rode having a good time. So when you ride the bike having fun, you see two bumps that, I'm going to turn that into a double. I'm going to double that. And so the bike doesn't have to get all this stuff, So I had more time and patience for the fans, for the people coming up. And I didn't lose my stuff when it wasn't, when I was interrupted and it wasn't something that we had planned, and it just comes up because stuff happens like that, So, and the last thing I'll say is my approach was better. I always kind of came into a few things like, I have to do that, and then it turned into, no, I get to do this,
Yeah.
And when I looked at the, doing things, whether it's sponsor commitments, whatever you name it, that I get to go do this, I enjoyed the whole process of that specific, whatever it was, a lot more. But I didn't know I could enjoy it that much because I never allowed myself to. So it was just, does it look fun? No, it's hard. It's grueling. It's one of the toughest things, and mentally the things you face physically, and your heart rate's up there. You want to stop because you just feel the lactic acid. You're just like, you can't, you're just suffering out there. But when it was all said and done, it's like, that was incredible, like, wow, so I don't know. It's just, that's what I don't know. I just enjoyed that.
I think when you retire and you're, what are you, 4 months out?
Yeah.
4 months.
Yeah.
I think the further we go, I mean, I'm a couple years now. I think the further you go, you look back and see it as more fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think you'll start to look at those races like, man, yeah, you'll think back at a certain track, certain year. Man, that was a fun race.
Yeah.
I was with so-and-so and, bumping, handle, whatever, coming down the stretch. And so I know looking back now, I can see baseball as being a little more enjoyable than it was at times when it's July and hot and it's kind of the dog and you're just grinding through it, trying to survive it. And
yeah. Or even the times that was going through something, right? Like whether it's trying to win the World Series, the whole season, it's hard. You're pushing through it, whether up into the last game, whatever you want to call it. I like, for example, my season this year, up until my last race, it was like, I don't know how I'm going to make it.
Right.
Like, I'm just like, I'm about to just like mentally, I'm about to just sleep all day.
Right.
Physically, everything's starting to go here. I'm like, what's wrong?
Right.
But as hard as heck and facing it, it's like, but just stay there. It's going to pay off. It's going to pay off. And then like you get to Vegas and you win. And when you cross the checkers, it was just like, or when I crossed it, it was like instant relief, but it was just total, like worth every,
sure.
Cause you sacrificed, you gave up a lot. You didn't, you did that because that was the goal. Right. So, but maybe when you accomplish it, it's like, gosh, that was hard as heck. And it's maybe short-lived.
But I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Yeah.
But well worth it.
Yeah.
Did you know your last race was Vegas? Right?
Yeah.
Or did you know that you were done?
So, no.
Okay.
Yes and no. I was leaning on the fence for a lot of people don't notice, and whether they care to hear it or not. And I tried the best I could, but I remember I prepared all the way till I did the whole off season. So when I broke my neck in 16, people asked me, did you retire because of that? I said, no, the neck injury didn't bother me. Roxon's injury, him crashing and having that crazy injury, it's like, wow, that can happen to all of us in a moment, but it wasn't my reason to retire. I already knew the risks of racing, but it was just that what happened in Colorado, that mental fog. I was just so mentally, it wasn't like a thing I could control. Like, it's just, I was pushing it for so long and thread on the needle for a long time that it just, something had to give.
You just hit a wall.
And my mind wasn't there. I was sitting on the gate. I'm like, what's wrong? You know, where are you, Ryan? Get in the game. And I just couldn't. And I couldn't just go. If my life depended on it, I could go. But if my life didn't depend on it, it was just like, I was having a hard time. But anyway, so then as I took that summer off of racing, and I had because I cracked my C6 vertebrae, and I went into the doctors. He said, I don't know if you believe in a higher power, but you know, if it would have been any more, you could have been paralyzed, you know. And not just from the waist down, but and me and my wife were sitting there, and I dang near teared up, and I was just like a little emotional, and she was too. And I think right then and there we said, we're done. This is it. Like, we're going home. I want to go to Minnesota. I don't want to see a dirt bike again.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that maybe was a little bit of a fear-based decision, and it's scary for sure. Who wouldn't it be? But I decided, like, look, I had one more year on my contract. I got to at least, take. So I decided I'm going to take the summer off, do it the best I can, come back, and prepared the October, November, December. And I remember sitting right before I went home for Christmas. I sat down with Eldon, and I was just struggling. I was by myself with me. It's just me and Lindsay in the house, and I was sitting there thinking. And I said, "Lindsay, I'm done. I can't do this." And I said, "Roxon's gonna beat me. Eli's gonna whoop me. I'm gonna get smoked. You know, at this rate, I'm just mentally not there. I'm scared. You know, I don't like this. You know, and I just didn't. I didn't like that. I was like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she didn't like it either, knowing how you have to be in it. So I was like, all right, mustered up again. Eldon comes over. I told him I think I'm done. He's like, let's just give it till after Supercross. Let's see where you are there. And I was like, all right, okay. It was mentally tough that season, but when I was sitting at Las Vegas, the team sat me down the second to last round, which was New Jersey, and said, hey, you can take the outdoors off, and we won't cut your pay. You can also do all of next year. We'll pay you the same to do Supercross only. I was like, man, that's wow. What a nobody's ever been offered that. That'd be amazing. That's a great deal there. How can you not take that, Ryan? But it was just like, if I knew that if I took it, it was going to be because of the money, not because I wanted to do it.
Yeah. And
that I was already at that mental, what I was facing a year prior. And after that race, we won that race that night, and I was going into Vegas, and that was a tough week. Just, it's all on the line. Here we are. You're trying to say this doesn't mean everything yet. It's like, but we have to win tonight, So anyway, I just remember that day. I said, I in a good way with that, I just said, I never want to feel this way again. Just that racing, that risk, that nervousness, that I don't have it in me anymore to do this anymore. Longer past this. And so I said, then I think me knowing that gave me the motivation to push through that night, and thankfully we got the job done. And I knew that middle of that day, I said, this is it.
You knew that was your last race.
I told Lindsay, this is it. And I not to drag things out a little longer, but the last day I was practicing, getting ready for Vegas in Florida. This was Wednesday. I was in my last moto. I had 10 laps to go in a 20-lap moto. So I was on my last 10 laps, and I come through this rhythm section. And, dirt bikes make, it's a race bike. Dirt bikes may have malfunctions, they just do. We all, sooner or later. And I will say that I have never had a mechanical failure the whole time I've been with KTM, thankfully. But that day, I come through a rhythm section. I'm fully committed. I'm in the last pocket ready to triple out, and I've got a lot of speed. You soak it up. So all your weight's forward. And, dude, that bike just had I went to twist the throttle. There was nothing there. And here I am. The ground is harder than concrete. It's clay. It's like, gosh. And I'm in the air flying through it, bailing off the bike. I'm thinking, is this real life right now? This isn't happening to me right now. It's like one of those things.
Wednesday before the final.
This is not happening. It was just so, like, I don't know if you've had that moment, but
no, I've never been 30 feet up in the air and had a bike die on me.
So yeah. So
thank God.
And thankfully it scrubbed my speed a little bit, so I bailed off, and I kind of landed down the downside, and I didn't even have a chance to run. I 1-2 foot and I slammed the ground. But I got up and I'm like, gosh, am I okay? Am I all right? And thinking Vegas in my head. I'm like, am I hurt? No, everything's good. And
You were fine?
I was fine. But I was walking to the shop, you know, my visor's busted off. The bike was mangled, done. And I said, this is it. No more. That's it. So I think my mind was made up Wednesday.
So you didn't ride the Thursday, Friday?
We flew out Thursday to go to press.
So that was the last time you rode a bike before Vegas Supercross. And you
actually, he wasn't even riding the bike. Yeah.
So and then last retirement looming. Dude. Last time you put a pair of boots on.
I was a head case, man. I was just stressed out.